which will be on 29th, I think, and 30th.
This
No,
call is now being recorded.
Sir,
yeah, so I thought that I will do the presentation later. So that is again up
oh,
to you. I mean, I
Okay,
sir,
thought
so
that we will probably do it somewhat in the first week of December or something.
I just got a confirmation that the exam schedule is going to be prepared by a student itself. So
Oh,
if you have
so then
anything,
fine. No, then you guys make this perfect.
so then what do you have in mind? I can
So I
prepare.
thought that we'll have it. See, again, I mean, the whole thing was I thought that we'll finish the presentations first and then do the vivas. So the presentations, if you guys can do it, say, I maximum I will probably see next week. I hope to finish everything by 27. Maximum 5 days class I will take, and then that optical tweezer. That if I want to do a class or one or something, then Monday I will finish. Okay, that is for sure. By Monday, whatever we have, we'll finish. So 30th I'll finish. Okay. So then
So,
I would say that after from say maybe from sixth, fifth or fourth or sixth, whenever after that you just start.
so from fifth, we'll have just the presentations, right?
Yes. So I see there are I think Bishwajit told me there are 19 groups. So 19
So
groups, mane five. Say if you do like
actually, sir, the problem is from fifth to 15th or 4th to 15th, there will be different end semester exams for the of the courses which they
okay.
are taking in exams.
So
So
then if
we'll
you
have to adjust the presentation such that
perfect. So you do it. No, I don't have any problem.
okay,
So you
okay,
can sit with Jivan and Bishwajit to fix them up. In principle, you can start from 1st December itself.
okay.
Okay, so first to fourth you can have some. So I believe that we'll need at least 5 days, 4 to 5 days. Okay, if
So
you
four
have
to
like
five days anytime before 15th December, right?
yeah. I have no problems. Absolutely, I am completely free. Na? So whenever you want, I can take.
Okay, then I'll talk to the students who
Yes,
So
have
sir.
you
it.
just talk to the
Uh,
students and 4 days, 5 days, or 4 days. In fact, we can do it in 5 days, I guess. 4 days, I guess, right? So or maybe yeah, it's everybody has to wait long. So maybe 5 days is maximum.
So
हाँ
I
बोलो.
think there are 18 groups or something like
Yeah,
that.
so then each day if we do like 3 groups, then about 1.5 hours. It's not too lengthy.
Okay,
Okay, so 1.5 hours, then
you
three.
require
One
six
day we have
six
to
days
do
then.
four. Nah,
Okay,
6 days maybe or whatever. Yeah, one day we do four groups.
okay,
Okay, so like that 5 days or 5 or 6. You guys decide. I don't have any problems. You can do 6 days or 5 days, whatever you want.
okay. And
Hitesh was saying something.
just one
yes,
question.
sir.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Harwan, go ahead.
if there is one presentation going on, others have to attend that compulsory?
absolutely. Yeah. That is a
Uh,
must. That
okay,
doesn't make sense otherwise. No,
okay,
the absolute. That is I'm going to make mandatory. Everybody has to attend. The whole class has to attend.
okay, sir.
Right, because that is the whole point. Then what I do, I know about everything, right? I mean, you, it is you who have to see. This is part of the teaching part as well, right? So we are all going to learn about things that others don't know, that we
Oh,
don't know.
right.
That is a must. Everybody has to attend. So it cannot be that some people have exams so they are cut. That cannot happen. So
Okay,
you
okay.
have to choose a time when nobody has exams,
That will be difficult from 15 to 5 to 15th.
and then
Some
they do it first to fourth or even 30th. You can schedule.
can the presentations happen after 15th?
That also is in the sense that I have to finish the vivas then.
Okay, there's
That
no.
also I have to finish.
Okay. When will
We'll
the
have the
vivas take place?
vivas in the middle. Okay.
Okay.
wait, I think it's better to have the presentation before, because for Viva, I think students have to study everything.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
No, sir.
I,
I prefer the Viva to be first because we anyway are studying. So then there will be a long break, and then we have to study again the entire thing. So it will be better if Viva is done first.
Yeah. Sir,
wait,
we can't hear you.
I'm also now confused which option is better.
I think sir is not audible again.
Okay, so if we have the Viva first, as in we have the Viva during the exam week, yeah, I think that is better because I don't think people can attend four 4 into 30, 4 into 40, 160 minutes a day for the presentations.
Yeah, and you'll get more days to prepare for your this project as well.
Yeah, yeah, I think that might be better.
Hmm.
But
Acha,
Actually,
I was thrown out again. I hope today also this is not. Anyway, so what are you saying?
yeah, I think the Viva, it's better if we do it in the exam week time, but can we like start as late as possible so that by 15th we are done?
It's okay. See, Vivas, I can see Vivas. The advantage that I was saying when I got cut off is that only the guy who has the Viva has to be there. No?
Yeah,
So we
yeah,
can do
yeah,
it like
like
there are
yeah,
like I think how
this
many are there? 27, right? I mean, or how many are registered? I think there are some 26, 27 or 30 or something like that, right? So we can have easily like one day I can do like 5, 6 Vivas easily. So in 5 days we can have Vivas. Okay,
okay.
so maybe
So,
10th to
five.
15th I can have the Vivas. Let me see. So yeah, so 7th is a Monday, no? So maybe that week or that whole week we can have Vivas. So maybe 8th to 12th or whatever, something like that. 8,
So
9, 10, 11, 12.
if we have Vivas from 7 to 12, something like that,
Ha.
when will we have the presentations?
Then the presentations you want to do after, then it's okay. Then at 12th, then from maybe pick a time, then by, so okay, no, then maybe 1 or 2 days,
Because
yeah. I mean,
21st is the grade submission.
great, right. So basically, we should have it between 14th to 18th or something.
14th to 18th.
and then
Hmm.
we have to submit the report also, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
That is there actually, right.
That the report will be now compromised because
Hmm.
if you have the
Hmm, hmm,
presentation
hmm,
late,
hmm, hmm. That late
writing
is
it
a
will
problem.
be a lot of rush.
That
And
late
then,
is the problem actually. Yeah, that is
sir,
correct.
I suggest this. We do some presentations in the first week of December. Then we'll have the
Yes.
Viva and do some
Uh,
other presentations in
Correct,
the
correct.
end.
Fine. So first to the 30th is Sunday, Monday. So first to 7th, we have. I think 8th you start. When did you say you start? 5th. 5th you start exams.
Fourth or fifth we start exams.
So maybe first to 5th we can. First to 4th we have every day if we have. So then we finish most of them,
Okay.
and then maybe every exam. See, because then it's somewhat of an unfair advantage if everybody, like some people get a lot of break. So maybe you choose every alternate day, or maybe in the exam, during. So if see, it's unlikely that every day you'll have exams, right? We have only 5 courses. Or how many
No,
courses do you
every
have?
day,
Six.
but people have different courses, so that's why it might be difficult for everyone to be there on every on the days that we will decide.
So can we not have like 3, 4? See, if we do first, second, third, fourth, तो 4 दिन तो हो ही जा रहा है. So after that, you need to choose 2 days. You understand?
Sir,
Just two days you need to
if
choose.
you're taking in the first week, then since you made it mandatory for everyone to attend,
Hmm.
then it will consume a lot of time for which we can use to prepare for the exams. So better will be if you remove this constraint that everyone will have to attend, because the recording part will be there, so we can like see that later.
Yeah, but Hitesh, nobody really attends, right? Recording, nobody will hear.
But
That
sir,
is the
even if they
problem.
attend, like how will we make sure they'll actually learn or they are
That
Sir,
is there.
actually,
His
Uh,
point is correct. If we have it during the exam season, even if people will come, whoever who doesn't have a presentation during the
they
time
will do
will
whatever they
do
want.
the studying for other subjects because it's the NSM week.
Yeah, I
okay.
know. Yeah, I know.
Actually,
But,
I'll talk to the other department students too to see how the NCM timetable is coming up. And then we
hmm.
can actually discuss where we can arrange the
Yeah, so
Viva.
maybe let us decide this next week. Sometime we should just maybe just sit and decide this sometime. You know.
Uh,
Okay,
Around
so next
Tuesday should be
Tuesday
fine.
you decide. Yeah, Tuesday you make it. Thing. Okay,
Okay.
so Vivas we can do whenever. So Viva, see last time that experimental thing we 3204 we did I think 5, 6 days. That was there were 33 people were there. This one is slightly lower. So I will need about 4 days or 5 days for the Viva. By 5 days maybe. Okay.
Yeah,
So
like
that we can actually do during the exam, no? So because that
No,
again
Vivas can be during exam.
completely during the exam, right? So
Yes.
then only the presentations you have to think of something. So see, we have to find 6 days. Okay, 6 days or 5 days. Okay.
Yes, sir. Can't we do it opposite? Like we are thinking that we'll submit the report later. What
Hmm.
if we can work on the report right now and we just do the presentation later? Because we don't have to start the report writing
Yeah,
after
yeah,
this.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. The report and presentation are not linked, so that should be different.
So
So
in that case, I personally don't mind doing after 15th because doing before
I have no,
15th.
but then I have to get at least 2 days for the grade, no? So we have to finish by 18th or 19th. 19th we have to finish. Okay, we have
I
to
think
finish by 19th.
after 15th, we won't have anything at
Anything,
least
anything, anything.
officially. So
I know, I know.
it should not be very
I
hard to
know,
finish
I know.
with that.
So that you can think. I mean, see, by if I have at least so see, but the thing is, I have only 4 days. No, no, 15th also you have exams, right?
Probably yes.
And then 16, 17, 18, 19. Only 4 days we have. That is a bit less. I mean, 4 days you want to have 30 whatever presentations. Oh, 19. That can be managed. 18
19
groups on
presentations.
19
So
presentations. 4 days, five
I
per day.
I'll try
five
to
a
keep
day.
the 15th free. I'll try to keep
Dekho,
it
I
free.
mean, see, guys, let you just talk among yourselves and decide. Okay.
Okay,
I
sir.
don't have problems anyway. Okay.
Okay,
Just
sure.
talk about yourselves. I want maximum attendance. I realize that what you're saying is true, that we cannot verify anything on the net like this. Everybody can be sleeping and watching whatever they want. But at the same time, I mean, some at least, at least logging in, hearing stuff, at least I have a record of, at least bothering to join might also be important. I know that, but that people might not be listening. Only people who are really interested might be listening. But at least something, if you have it, might be useful. Okay. Anyway, you decide. So maybe Tuesday, by Tuesday, Wednesday, you tell me what to do. I hope I can. I almost will certainly finish on 30th. That is for sure.
Sir, any marks distribution has been decided for the report plus presentation and viva?
So total we thought was I thought 40. I thought no total I thought was 40. So maybe we'll do 30-10 or something, or
60
25-15
for
or something.
assignments and so on.
Ha ha ha. So I forgot. I told you at the beginning, right?
Wait,
Uh,
60 for assignments, then
how
there's no
much?
mark for
Sir, in
Viva.
the beginning, you said
Ha
60 for the assignments, 40 for the project. Then you said there will be a Viva for 20 marks.
ha ha ha.
So
Ha.
that
So
i- that
40, 20,
that
40. No.
includes from the assignments. So it is
40, 20,
40,
40.
20, 40.
So then that's what I said. No, that's correct, right? So either so presentation report. So Viva, sorry, presentation report will be either 25-15 or 30-10. 25-15 probably. 25-15. Okay. 20-20 is a bit too much. 25-15. Okay. 25-15, 20 for Viva and 40 for assignment. Okay. Okay. So let us then. Acha, so we will. We come. I hope it does not break again. Let me just start. Yesterday it was disastrous. Again. I don't know why this whiteboard suddenly does not appear in sharing. Yeah, can you see? You can see, right, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay, so yesterday we completely made a mess of. I mean, it just was disastrous. I could not. It was disturbed so badly. Anyway, so what we were trying to do, I will just go over the whole thing again. So remember, we were trying to find out the resonance conditions inside a resonator and and remember what we were doing was, so here the interesting thing here is, oh no, wait, before, there was a very crucial question. Yes, so Hitesh asked about that. Yeah, we should basically clarify that first. That's actually something which was very interesting. So okay, that confocal, right? So 00 sub ho raha tha. So yeah, so one thing we completely missed in the discussion yesterday. So we had the waist sizes, right? We had W1, W2, and W0. So I'll concentrate on these two. These are the interesting ones. I mean, because these are the ones that were becoming zero and all. Uh, Uh, can you hear me? You're there. I'm there, right?
Yes, sir.
Ah, yeah. So basically, this one was G1, G2. Oh, no, there was a lambda by pi. Uh, right. So basically, there was a root of क्या था lambda L by pi or something. No, no, lambda. What was that? Lambda L by pi. No,
Lambda L by
lambda
pi
L by pi
square root.
G1
Yeah.
or G2. This is
Yes.
1/4. And then this one was G1 or G2.
G1
G1
plus
was G2 or G2 1 minus इसको
G1
हटाओ.
G2.
Yes, yes, yes. Right, right, right. Yeah, so it was basically lambda L by pi G1 or G2, uh, G1 or G2 1 minus G1 G2 whole square 1/4. Okay. So one thing that we did not concentrate and we should have thought. Yeah. So what happens? So there are a class of resonators called symmetric resonators. Okay. And these are those where your R1 equal to R2. So the moment that happens, G1 equal to G2, right? And then lo and behold, what does this formula become? Just this, right? So this G1, G, it will cancel off. You have this, right? The moment you have G1 equal to G2, this. And then there is no issue at all. You realize, Hitesh, the moment G1 equal to G2, I get a much simpler thing of this, right? And then your G equal to 0 is not an issue at all. In fact, that is the reason. See, that this is interesting. So this one we should have thought. So the confocal is actually that way a very, see, remember that thing is a, if this does not happen,
Sir,
that
but
is if G1 is not equal to G2, then there is a problem. So
sir,
this is a, bolo.
I have a problem with this statement because we are
Yeah.
cancelling G1 and G2.
Yes, yes,
Becomes
yes, Rohan,
zero.
that is only happening on in the special case
No, but how
where you
can we
have this.
cancel 0 by 0?
No, there is no 0 by 0. Why? Where is 0 by 0? The
Uh,
formula itself becomes this.
no,
Are? The formula, see, it's G1 by G1, it is G by G, na?
no,
So
I'm
the
saying
whole formula becomes this.
in the first formula, you put G1 equal to G2 equal to
Yeah,
0.
because that is what you have, na? So that is what. So this is in the case of symmetric, in the case of symmetric resonators, this is exactly what you have.
But the formula is essentially
So
the
the
same, right? How can you divide
right,
0
right,
by
but
0?
that is what. So no, but this is the thing. So these class of resonators are different completely. So the confocal is a great example where you actually have your R and R's exactly same, and this length is basically equal to 2f. Okay, so this is actually called a metastable resonator.
Okay, I
Okay,
think we
this is
have
a
to take a
class
limit
of
or something.
resonators. Limit matlab kya? So if you have this R1 equal to R2, then this whole class of resonators is different. Then they are extremely stable.
Okay.
Okay, because then you don't have this whole issue. This formula itself, this is correct. No, there is no problem in this. This is perfectly correct.
Okay.
But then only and only if you have R1 equal to R2. Only if you have R1 equal to R2, that you actually have this whole thing simplified. And you also can see that the waste that this in these cases, this value, so confocal, so is not an issue. So the confocal resonator is actually is a metastable resonator. And the interesting part of it is that for the confocal special thing where you have both G1 and, because what is the special case, resonator is basically L equal to R, right? That is the thing where G1 G2 have to be 0. See, this is not necessarily, I mean, see, if you have G1 equal to G2 does not mean that G will be 0. right? So G1 equal to G2 matlab this spacing can be anything. It may not be L equal to R, no, it can be R1, R2, this can be any damn thing, right? So it will G1, G2 will not be 0. I mean, sorry, G will not be 0. There's no G1, G2. So G will not be 0. Confocal is a special case where G is 0 and G is 0, right? And this is a case where actually your so basically G is between 0 and 1, right? So when G is equal to 0, this is 1. This is, and so this denominator, so this highest value of this is 1, right? Naturally. So omega 1 or omega 2, highest value, sorry, not highest value. So this is basically if G is less than 1, then this is, so this is greater than lambda L by pi, right? When G is less than G is greater than 0, then this denominator is less than 1, so this is more than root of lambda by pi. So W by L's, this has their, so this basically has oh,
So there's a correction. That should be 1 minus G square the whole square.
sorry, yes, right. So W1 by the or W2 has its lowest value when G equal to 0, right? Because in other cases denominator is less than 1, right? So this actually tells you the confocal resonator is in fact one of the most sort of stable resonators, because you can see stable and the one that is actually used in laser cavities. Can you tell me why? Therefore beam spot at the mirrors and beam waist, this you should verify, are smallest for confocal resonator. And can you tell me why? Why is used for laser cavities? So why do you think? Why do you think this will be the case? Why do you think confocal is typically used for laser cavities? Huh? What? You understand what I'm saying, right? Hey guys, just speak up.
Yeah, yes, sir, but I don't know what to imply.
No, what I'm implying, no, why? No, basically what I'm asking you, do you agree that the waist size will be smallest for G equal to 0, right? Only for G equal to 0. And G equal to 0 only happens for confocal cavities. Other ones you will not get G equal to 0, right? So G equal to 0 is a special case. This is a metastable resonator. Where, so this is metastable resonator when basically L equal to R. Yeah, so the G beam spots are the smallest. Waist size is also the smallest. So then I'm claiming that the confocal is used most for laser cavities. So why do you think? What is the reason?
Sir, I think
A
the
large
mirrors,
relay
like,
length,
What?
large relay length.
High power.
No. What was that, Rohan? What?
No, because it'll be so small, it'll be high powered, right? That's what we need in
Power
lasers.
नहीं. Power कैसे आया?
Sorry,
Power क्या? Correct?
more
Power.
Intensity.
Intensity.
Sorry.
Absolutely. Don't, Priyanuj, never confuse power and intensity. Intensity is a much stronger word thing, right? Power can be random. Intensity is what we talk about. The highest, and the reason because highest intensity at the waist, smallest waist, and therefore in laser cavities, what do you have? You basically have a crystal inside this at the waist at W0. Therefore, the highest intensity, matlab the most effective or optimized nonlinear conversion. I mean, the nonlinear effect will be optimized the most, because only for confocal cavities do you have the waist size a minimum. Therefore, highest, the intensity will be absolutely highest. Okay. So this discussion, I actually, yeah, this is very interesting, and this is completely absent in that book also. So I got some literature, so I will share it with you. But this is very interesting actually. So this confocal cavity is a case where you have, it's a special case where, so of course this formula gets simplified, very much simplified, if you have G1 equal to G2. But of course that does not tell you that G will be 0. G will be 0 only when you have L equal to R, which is a confocal cavity. And a confocal cavity is an ultra stable cavity, because as you see, the beam spot is the lowest, and the beam spot at everywhere, all the mirrors as well as inside the waist, that is the lowest. Okay, so this is very interesting. So now let us go to the next discussion. That is, again, I left
Sir,
halfway.
physically, what is wrong with the case when G1 is not equals to G2, but one of them is zero? And why
No,
is that?
then the problem is, no. So then no, then again, then you have this issue again, Hitesh, that you will basically have the beam spot go
So
at become
that's
zero.
from maths, but I'm saying that
Yeah.
it's like just
No,
from
so
the setup.
basically,
If you just shift it, you
uh,
find one spot where your L is equals to R. We're
yeah.
saying
So
that
basically,
becomes
yeah. So
zero.
there, what happens is that what happens essentially, Hitesh, is that, see, G will be 0. I mean, G. Uh, See, G1. No, but when can G be 0, right? G can only be 0 when L is equal to R, no? Or
Yes,
L equal to
G1 can
R1.
be zero when
L
L
equal to R1, when
to
one of
R1.
them is R1. Yeah, why one of them
Yes,
is L. One of them is L. Now, but
yes.
see, yeah, one of them is L. So one of them is L. The issue that happens, basically, if you think of it, see, the reason why confocal is so good is that the beam spot exactly remains the same. Because remember, physically, if you think, so let me again go back to the previous slide. So if you think of this one, yeah. So if you think of the confocal, the advantage is that, see, remember this distance is basically 2f, right? So this spot is exactly imaged to this spot. The both spots are imaged to each other, right? And that is the reason it is so nice. So then, because these are again exactly imaged, the perfectly symmetric cavity, because the inside thing is just again fixed completely. But if you have such a case where this length is only equal to one of the mirror, well, twice the focal length, basically, then the other one, I mean, in the sense that if you now think of ray optics wise, right? What you will basically see is that the image, I mean, so remember that uh, either, so if you have, for example, a hemispherical cavity, right, when this distance is a focal length, then what happens, then each of them focuses the other, right? And that also is fine, because then, so suppose in a hemispheric sorry, in a hemispherical cavity, okay, where this is basically equal to f, so that is that L will be equal to R by 2. Okay, so then what happens is that this one focuses here, this one focuses here. Again, these are fixed. But if you don't have that, then what might happen is one mirror focuses. One mirror. So yeah, so the image of one mirror is kind of fixed, but the other mirror is arbitrary, in the sense that that is not really fixed. So the, the after repeated travel, this one may be a issue. So it depends again. I mean, in the sense that if you really think of the way these cavities will act, is that you probably will not get the same beam size every time you go through it. I mean, go along closed paths. That one has to see, because one
Also, it
cavity is
becomes
focusing,
zero.
not
I mean,
focusing.
why it will become zero? That's the issue. Even if you say one of
See,
them to be,
zero matlab by
yeah,
this formula it becomes zero.
yes,
No, but zero, हाँ, okay, zero matlab ये अगर, yeah, if तो ऊपर वाला is zero, then one of them becomes zero. So in the sense that, see, this is not going to be zero exactly. So see, I would say that it sort of, See, I think it is a way of expressing that that cavity is not very. It's at the borderline stability region. It's not zero. So the thing is, it's extremely small. Okay, now in confocal, for example, you can see that in symmetric resonators, the confocal has the smallest beam size. Okay, very clearly. In this case, this beam spot here, so essentially that means what? So if it is L equal to 2R, matlab, yeah, I don't, in the sense that that is whatever, so L equal to R, right? So L equal to R, matlab, this focal length is equal to twice the focal length, right? That is what it means, no? Twice the focal length essentially means that whatever beam size you have, that should be the same on the other mirror. That is a bit odd, but what typically we say is that if you have, see, in most cases, I'll tell you, practically speaking, okay, practically speaking, we always have two same radius of curvature. We never choose asymmetric resonators, almost never choose, because then what happens is, if you think of it, if you have this as, I mean, practically, if you have, this is R1 and this is R2, then ek ka waist hoga idhar, ek ka waist hoga idhar. That is, we have, in the sense, the focal spot will be different. Okay, when
Yes,
this will
but sir,
focus here, this will focus here.
practically
So
this
that is almost
R1,
never chosen.
this R1 can be like slightly different from R2.
But you don't choose that, because then the problem is they will focus at different regions and the
Sir,
beam
that
spots are
sir, that
different.
won't be a problem. We can shift the mirrors to overlap them,
That you can always do. Yes, that you can always do.
and
But
that is
then,
what we are essentially doing with the
in confocal as well.
cavity modes, right? Like we want
Ha,
the distance between the mirrors is that we get good modes. Like that is the
yes,
whole
yes.
point of the math.
Yes, that is a fact. We can actually shift them the distance so that you go there. But I mean, yeah, when this whole thing of the beam spot becoming zero is, it's a
But if
mathematical
you
limit there.
shift
I don't know, discussion wise,
if you shift
what
one
that
of the
means.
mirror
Hmm,
to be equals to its radius of curvature, in that
hmm.
case the beam size would become zero. So it's not always
Beam
possible
size
to
becomes,
shift.
basically the cavity becomes somewhat unstable. So see, there is a
Yes.
cavity, there is this kind of a stability region of the cavities that we have a plot of. So I will actually, let me just share that with you. I got it. It's a nice thing actually. Let me just share that with you. It's a good thing. I'll just share that with you. Just give me 1 second. Uh, so in a sense, that what happens, yeah, but it is not something we typically prefer. We generally want these things to be very symmetric and all. Yeah, so here it is. Just see this. 1 minute.
Sir, I have a doubt.
Huh.
Here we are treating G1 and G2 to be like independent quantities.
Huh?
Like
Just give me a second, yeah. Anirudh, let me just paste this. Where is this one? Tools. Hmm? Sorry, 1 minute. I should have actually. What is that? PDF में वो select कहाँ गया वो? Yeah, document. Snapshot. Where is the snapshot tool in PDF typically? It is kept in that edit, no? Where is that kept? Why is it not showing suddenly? Snapshot tool in PDF Acrobat? It disappeared suddenly. Okay. It just disappeared. It is just. Just to change.
Sir, alternatively you can use snip
Yeah, I
tool
can
as
do,
well.
no, no, wait, I'll just do snapshot. This thing and what it's disappeared. Yeah. too small. Yeah. Oh, it increases only in one direction. Anyway, so you can see this, right? So this is essentially what we have. I mean, this is typically you have this G1 and G2, these things, and oh, man, come on.
Sir,
Anyway,
can
I
you
will put.
increase the size? I can't see anything.
You can't save it. Okay. I'll put this in a better way in the notes later on. Okay, I'll just select this and put. Can you see it now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So basically, this is the whole thing. This is stability diagram. Okay. So this is where you can essentially. So these shaded parts are the sort of stable regions and all. Okay. And these other parts are the unstable regions. So basically, this is what you have. I will share this document with you. So yeah, Anirudh, you had a question, no? What were you saying?
Sir, can we treat G1 and G2 to be independent? Like, uh,
Mm,
aren't they related in some sense?
uh,
G1 is 1 by 1 minus L by R,
yeah,
right?
it should not
So
be right.
they are
No, when
independent.
they R is the same, then they are like independent. I
They
mean,
are.
they
We
are
are
dependent.
forcing. Yeah.
They are the
If
same
we are
exactly.
forcing, then we can make it, but otherwise they're not.
Obviously, otherwise they should not be right because that is completely the property of one mirror. I mean, in the sense that L is of course common and L is there, but then the other one basically is dependent on the radius of curvature of one is dependent on the radius of curvature of one mirror, and the other one is dependent. So these, as you see, they draw it as X and Y, right? So obviously they are supposed to be independent.
Sir, I think I got the problem here, like with the one G being zero and the other not non-zero. So
Mm-hmm.
let's say G2 is something finite and G1 is taken to tending towards zero.
Mm-hmm.
So we know that omega naught is G1 G2 into 1 minus G1 G2 divided by all
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
So omega naught is like the waist is zero, going tending towards zero.
Mm-hmm.
But we also calculated the waist at the two mirrors.
Yes, yes,
So
yes.
omega
Mm.
one is omega one is G2 by G1 times something. So
Yeah,
this is going to go to infinity. So
yeah, correct.
which means that we have a very diverging beam over here. Like
Yeah, but then Anirudh,
our solution is basically something with a very small spot size and
uh,
completely diverging.
so
Basically,
exactly. So one thing,
this
what
is a
one can
limiting
say,
solution in some
right?
sense.
No, in the sense that yeah, that is actually correct. So see, Hitesh.
Beam
So if
size
you have
becomes zero at the mirrors if
no,
one
no, no,
of
no,
the.
no, 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 no. But then what is
The waist
interesting is
is
the other
zero
one
at
it will
one
be
mirror
infinity.
and
No,
the waist, the spot
other
size
one will
is
be
zero at one and infinity at the other.
yes. That is the more important. Yes, exactly right. That infinity is the bigger problem. See, if it becomes zero in one, the other one will blow up, right? It has to blow up. You understand? Because if it is basically G1 by G2 in one, other one is G2 by G1. So if either one is zero, that means the other one is going to be in infinity. And that is the basic problem,
Yeah,
not the zero one.
basically, this is
Right.
like
That
a
is
highly
exactly right.
divergent beam solution that we are getting
Exactly,
here.
exactly, exactly. So it is essentially something that is tending to, it is not, yeah, I mean, tending towards infinity is in terms of physical alignment, it becomes a bigger problem, much bigger problem. Because if it is zero in one, it absolutely, yeah, that is the correct answer. Yes. If it is
No, sir,
zero in
that
one,
is fine. I was asking like why would it be the case? Like how can
no.
it be
So
zero on one side
basically,
and
no,
infinity on
what
the
you
other?
can think of it is if it is completely diverging on one side, it is basically meaning that it is other side, it is kind of focusing. But that is not important. What the important takeaway from this is that physically it is untenable. Physically, it is not a stable cavity. Because the stable cavity we typically define not by the focal spot being zero, but the beam diverging in the sense that it is escaping from the cavity. You understand? If it's escaping from the cavity, that is the issue that we have, not the thing that it is coming to zero. Coming to zero is not a real concern. The concern is actually that it is diverging away. And the reason that you can say now, okay, let me delete this because it's looking ugly. So let me just sort of, yeah. So the reason that I was say is that basically if it is diverging in one of the mirrors, essentially it means that it is focusing here. You understand? So that is the reason that if it is a big spot here, so it is focusing. That's why you have a point. Okay, if it is focusing here, that means it is fine. But then the fact that it is diverging away, so let me just write this. So G1 or G2 being 0 implies that one that one waste that let me that either of the wastes omega 1 or W1 W2 diverge, which basically implies an unstable cavity, an unstable resonator. Yes, that is exactly the correct thing, exactly the problem. Because if you have G1, because there is a G1 by G2 thing, and physically, if you think of it, if it is diverging, does not have a, I mean, see, if that, so basically that means that this is kind of focusing into one or something like that. So that means that it is not really, that is not helping the cavity to be stable, because it will still sort of, the fact that it is diverging is what is dangerous, because that allows you cannot align. Diverging is what is the issue, that the beam does not stay confined inside the cavity, in the sense then you, if you now go the other way, it is like you do not have beam like solutions anymore. The transverse extent of the cavity, the transverse mode is no longer confined, so it is going to sort of go much broader, and you don't have beam like solutions essentially. Okay, which is the same as saying that W1, if anyone, if it is negative or something, that negativity essentially means that again you are not going to have any beam like solutions, and beam like solutions are a must. So the confocal, the advantage is that it is any symmetric resonator that straight away simplifies this thing. And confocal is a special case because it is ultra stable, because the beam spots are also the smallest, and because physically that one mirror images into the other. So whatever spot you have here, it is exactly the same here, and they always remain like that. So this is the best possible resonator. Okay, so I think 0 is, as I repeat, that 0 is not a concern. The infinity in the other mirror is a concern, because that basically means that it is diverging away. Okay, good discussion. Okay, so now let us go to this other very crucial thing, which again we stopped. That was the phase part. That is, so basically what we were saying was, this is the phase or the resonance condition. Let me again, this is the resonance condition. Yes, resonance. Actually, that one was not resonance condition. Resonance conditions inside the resonator. So what we have, basically, if you remember, as we said, that the spherical wave phase factors. So spherical wave, rather the Gaussian spherical wave that goes as some E0 by Z, e to the I k z, then e to the minus I phi, then this is I phi of Z. Then you had the transverse phases, e I k x squared plus y squared by 2r, and e to then the transverse this thing of the Gaussian x squared plus y squared by 2 omega squared z, rz, and this thing. Now what we are saying is, we require that for a round trip, the phase difference has to be basically 2 pi or 2 pi, 2 pi n, if I say 2 pi. But then, so then that means for half a round trip, hey, I'm there, right? You can hear me?
Yes.
For half a round trip, it has to be basically n pi, right? And then the phase difference for, so that this half a round trip basically means I'm going by z2 minus z1. right? So this is exactly what we have. So you have something like this. You start from here. This one was Z2 and this one was Z1. So Z2 minus Z1, as we said. So then the thing is that your we have to look at the longitudinal phase, right, in the z direction. So remember that phi of z essentially was tan inverse of z by z naught, right? This was how it went like. So when you go z2 minus z1, then the path difference, the longitudinal phase change in z, that is nothing but this. So if I say that is like theta z2 minus theta of z1, that is equal to k of z2 minus z1 minus of this is minus tan inverse z2 by z0 minus tan inverse z1 by z0, and that basically equal to n pi. Okay, now the real concept comes. Okay, so basically what we do is we solve for k. We find the k vectors of the input which are going to be matched with the cavity sort of, the physical, the sort of the wave number that the cavity defines. This is very, very crucial. Okay, so now understand in this way. So again, math is one way, but the physics, let us try to understand. So basically what is your basic understanding of Fabry-Pérot, right? Fabry-Pérot, we know that this 2D has to be n lambda. Matlab ki the lambda has to be an integral multiple of 2D by n, right? So it has to be an integral multiple of, so it has to be, so n is the number, so the lambda has to be integral multiple of n. Now if I convert into frequency, this actually can be converted to frequency, right? So I can basically write this part as some nc by nu, right? So then this is the thing that I'm talking about. So this nu basically has to be an integral multiple of nc by 2d. This is the crucial part. So now see, so this is what you understand, right? So what we are essentially trying to say is that the input frequency of the cavity, of the light, has to be an integral multiple of the spatial frequency that the cavity sort of defines or makes. Remember, k is nothing but the something like the spatial frequency, right? So you can see that nu essentially, that nu is given by 2 pi by lambda, or I can write it as some kc by 2 pi, right? This is fine, na? 2 pi by lambda, c by lambda, right? So this is k by 2 pi, kc by 2 pi, right? So now basically this you have to, now this nu that I see is essentially the solutions that I get from here, the solutions of the k that have to come from this. Okay, so the cavity essentially has its own, you can say its own, frequency or whatever, some kind of spatial frequency. The spatial frequency that the input, my light has, that has somehow to match that. That is the meaning of resonance. You get this? This is a very, very intricate concept. What we are trying to say is, again, when we have a Fabry-Pérot that has a particular length or something, then that itself, in order to sustain the light that is coupled into it, has to have certain boundary conditions that have to be satisfied. See, this one essentially is something that is defined completely by the cavity because it depends on this d, right, which is the cavity length. So essentially what I'm saying is the input frequency, which I can write like this. This is nothing but this. But here, this kz, that is the k is the wave vector of the light, input light. But this part is something that is entirely defined by the cavity, how it goes, and essentially if you solve this again, you have to solve this. If you just do, so tan inverse का formula है, tan inverse z1 by z2, z2 minus z1, उसका एक बड़ा formula है. It is something, I forgot that, वो है कुछ, वो लिखना होता है. If you write that, is what you are going to get, and if you will get some values of k from here, and if you use this, allowed mode frequencies will basically become nothing but some new m will become c by 2l. Again, we have to write in terms of g1 and d2, m plus 1 by pi cos inverse root of g1 g2. This, so you can see that this is now defined by the things inside the cavity beautifully, because this g1 g2 are completely cavity properties. And what I'm getting here, we can straight, so you can see here, for example, that for if I want to go from mode of n to n plus 1, the frequency shift I have to do is to c by 2d, right? This is for plane mirror, typically for Fabry-Perot. Okay, so what you will understand is that exactly the same thing is happening. You can get this formula back when you look at the case here. So basically, if you see this, so for plane mirror, you have g1 g2 equal to 1, which means that your new m is exactly what I got here. It is mc by 2l. That's actually here by n. This is n. This is n. mc by 2l, which means that if I want to go from m to m plus 1, I will have to change by c by 2l. This is called the free spectral range of the resonator.
Sir,
Okay.
what is that kc by 2 pi, that frequency?
Kc by, no, this is I'm just writing. I mean, I know that the frequency, this is the frequency of light. Nu is
No.
kc by 2 pi, na? This is the c by lambda.
Oh no,
C by
that
lambda.
is. Oh, okay.
So basically, if you solve for k, this is the same as this. So if you, so k will come as this. This expression तुमको k2, you solve for k, multiply by c by 2 pi, you will get this. समझा? So this will lead to this. So solve for k, multiply by c by 2 pi, you should get this.
Okay.
Okay, this is again, this I will give an assignment. You have to verify this. Okay, so this is actually extremely interesting. Yeah, so you actually can see here that what you have for the c by 2l thing is completely derivable from here, absolutely. And what you can also show is that it's quite clear that so typically for spherical mirrors, there is an approximation again we take, that is what we typically write is so basically these are things that you can derive. So spherical but nearly flat, which is given by, so nu m is almost equal to c by 2l, some m plus 1 by pi l by r1 plus l by r2 half. Okay, and this is again this cos inverse इसको ये करके almost equal to लिखता है when basically when r is very large. So this is basically r is much larger than l. So this is actually this is really so you can actually see here, even if I put confocal मतलब ये 0 है, So then this is pi by 2. This is actually going to be same. All this is the same. ये half आ जाएगा ये. But that is basically the difference between two successive modes will again be c by 2l. That is what I really care about. है ना? So confocal मतलब ये pi by 2 आएगा. So pi by half एक m plus half आएगा. It's not important. So when this is like a constant. So when I again take the difference between 2 by 2 modes, the confocal cavity also basically has c by 2l, which is the classic definition of free spectral range. And what is the concept? The concept essentially is, if you have, so these are my cavity modes. How do I get these cavity modes? I will basically change either my D, or I will change the input frequency. This is frequency. So if I go from mode of M to mode of M plus, mode number M plus 1, mode number M by 2 in mu, and this is my intensity. Then this gap basically is this. If I say that this is some delta nu, that delta nu is nothing but c by 12.
Sir, you're saying this gap is same for plane mirrors or confocal mirrors?
Gap is same now. Yeah, the free spectral range, Rohan, is always the same. Yeah, absolutely same.
Okay.
The free spectral range definition is the same.
Even in case of mirrors which are not confocal?
ना वो देखो हाँ माने anything which is basically close to ये हाँ माने देखो तुम yes see Rohan, actually one can straight conclude from here, right? The free spectral range of a cavity, any cavity, is c by 12.
Okay.
Anything, all cavities. So let us write this statement, very crucial. FSR of all resonators is essentially c by 12. That is clear. That is the classic free spectral range for any resonator. Okay, so this concept is beautiful, but you understand, right? You are coming with a frequency of light that has nothing to do with the frequency, with the cavity parameters, right? That is different. I mean, and remember, guys, this free spectral range is so okay. Can you do quickly, very quickly, calculate the free spectral range of say L equal to how much do we take? Half a meter. Whoa, yeah, 50 meter. क्या होगा? It's a very 1 second, right? So half meter matlab this is basically going to be 300 megahertz, na? क्या होगा? Right? 300 megahertz, no? C is 3 to the power, huh? But think of this. What is the frequency of light? Frequency of light at 600 nanometer is 10 to the power 14, right? But the cavity is 300 megahertz. So the crucial thing is my input has to have some multiples of 300 megahertz. That is when the laser will, I mean, my input light will actually match the cavity modes, or we can actually see constructive interference inside the cavity due to the light being coupled. And this whole thing is so beautifully circular. You can see, right? I am getting this whole condition comes. So think of it. I come with a plane wave, say rays or whatever Hitesh likes, rays. But I have to, what I insist is I will get constructive interference only when the phase difference along a closed path due to a closed path is an integral multiple of 2 pi. Okay, so integral multiple of 2 pi essentially means that I need to, if I have, so it basically means that I have constructive interference, which means that I have the transverse extent inside the cavity to be finite, because if it is not finite, the light escapes the cavity. So transverse extent inside the cavity being finite means the cavity supports beam-like solutions. And what are the most fundamental beam-like solutions? That is the Gaussian. So even if you come with a plane wave inside the cavity, you're only going to have Gaussian solutions, provided that you are satisfying the resonance condition. Bolo.
I am confused with this. What kind of frequency is this in the graph, and how
this is basically the input? This is essentially what you have is just this frequency that you're talking about is the frequency axis.
So this is the frequency of light?
Sorry?
The frequency of light that we are
No,
input.
yeah. Frequency of absolutely yes. Because
Okay.
this delta nu that I'm talking about, now this is the frequency of change. So I can tell you what happens. What we have done actually, what we used to do was that when this. So remember, a cavity essentially has this as a part of its own parameters. I mean, given its own delta length 2L, it has a particular spatial frequency distribution or something, which is given by. I mean, it is basically this C by 2D corresponds to a frequency which is particular to the cavity. So unless my
So
input frequency is an integral multiple of that frequency, I will not have constructive interference.
okay.
So what we have done, for example, in our experiments when I was doing my PhD, was that we used to go from one mode to the cavity to this mode. So we used to do that by changing the input frequency of the laser. So you would know that. So we used to have this acousto-optic modulator. So by changing that thing, you could actually go from this to this, and there were some all kinds of experiments we did.
So, but can we do such fine tuning like 300
Oh
megahertz?
yes, yes,
Ramannath.
yes. Acousto-optic modulator. This is what
We
does.
used we did Ramannath in that.
Ramannath. Yes. Ramannath. Exactly that. Exactly that. AOM, acousto-optic modulator, Ramannath. Exactly that. But this is so beautiful, right? So it's also connected. So if you have constructive resonance, constructive interference, the beam inside has to be the field inside. Let me say has to be Gaussian. So beautiful. Okay, so this is wonderful. That's the last thing that I just wanted to go over here is the problem that I'm going to give you, and that requires some. So there are very interesting. So these are ring resonators. Okay,
Sir, I
and
think your last statement was the field has to be Gaussian. How did you support that
yeah. So
conclusion?
basically, again, let us go back that way. See, I said that if you have a cavity which is in resonance, the light is in resonance, it is undergoing constructive interference. What is the meaning of the light, being in resonance? The light is entrapped inside the cavity, which means that the transverse extent of the light cannot exceed that of the cavity mirrors, right? The light inside cannot have infinite extent. If the light cannot have infinite extent, the transverse mode of the light field that you have, that is finite. So transverse mode finite basically means you have to have beam-like solutions. If you have beam-like solutions, basically means that you have a Gaussian, which is the most fundamental beam-like solution. So if you want, I can just write this flow of logic.
Sir, but
So
what is the issue with spherical wave?
spherical wave, it will diverge, right? Spherical wave is not a beam. It does not have finite transverse in the sense it
Okay,
is continuously diverging, right?
right.
Under resonance, beam confine light.
Saran, does the spherical
Light
wave solution satisfy Maxwell's equation that R equal to 0?
at R equal to 0. Spherical wave solution, that's like a point source, no? When R equal to 0 is a point source, when there's such a origin, right? That will be a
Yeah.
singularity curve. It's going to explode. I don't know. In the sense that it is basically that you see, we can have point sources, na? I mean, it is basically that the Gaussian, if you think of it at the origin, I mean, I can always have the no, but then the phase, right? So we can say that it becomes uh radius of curvature 0 money, it's like a point, no? So point
Sir, we can have, I think, point sources. We did some gauge conditions that we have to put
uh.
so that
So
point.
yeah, so singularity, so some renormalization you have to do, right? Some renormalization stuff you have to do so they can shift that. So that is, I think, something like that you have to do, right? Some kind of origin shift you have to do and all that kind of stuff.
Sir,
Yeah.
just one question. It was not related to this. I just wanted to cross check. When we initially found the solution for the Gaussian beam, that was only the solution to the modified wave equation, right?
Yes,
When
Helmholtz. So Helmholtz equation. So again, Priyanuj, if you go back, so this is exactly what I'm writing. Light confined inside the cavity, transverse extent limited, limited Maxwell, sorry, I should not write Maxwell. Basically, wave equation modified into the Helmholtz equation. Equation modified and Gaussian beam solutions. Is this mapping this properly? Cavity is under resonance, mane? Light is
Helmholtz
confined
is more
inside cavity.
general, but I think you meant paraxial equation.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Helmholtz is the whole thing. Sorry.
Yeah, I think Helmholtz is the most.
Helmholtz is the whole thing. Sorry. That is the whole thing. Paraxial. वो किसका कौन बोलता है कि keep confusing. Paraxial wave equation. Correct. Helmholtz is the whole thing. Yes. Paraxial wave equation. Okay. Yeah. This is done. Acha. So now we just talk about this thing before I end. So this ring cavity is a very interesting cavity which you have in many lasers, including the Teissier famous laser. So it has two mirrors like that. Angle is the same. Angle is the same. Aisa, and you have two spherical mirrors inside. So the beam comes like that, goes here, comes here, and goes back. Okay, like that. So what is the thing that you find straight interesting here? What do you think are the differences between this and the first thing? एकदम देख के कुछ लगता है about the type of wave that you have inside? The type
It's
of
not
wave that you have
inside.
Yeah, it's not a standing wave, it's a traveling wave. It's very interesting. It is a traveling wave actually. Okay, so the interesting part is this cavity is very useful because of the fact that in order for this to be stable, this has to have two wastes. You have to have a waste here and you have to have a waste here, because otherwise that cannot be stable. And the reason that you can have a waste here without this being exploding, because of these two being concave plane mirrors, is that because you have actually a concave and plane combination. Okay, the advantage of having two wastes is that you can keep a crystal sort of here, and this crystal, so you have two wastes whose sizes also you can in principle vary, and the waste here are actually dependent on these mirrors and all. You can actually you have a lot of flexibility in designing the waste of this, or making this size by changing this length and all. So a lot of flexibility in parameters happen. And another extremely crucial thing that you have, that is there for designing this sort of, for having, you can say, why on earth do I have this sort of cavities? See, I'll tell you, any cavity that you have like that, right, which you have this one going and this one coming back, and you have a laser beam, which is basically this laser comes out, this beam comes out and it goes like that. One huge issue is when this cavity is out of resonance, or when you're tuning this cavity. So can you tell me, when this cavity is out of resonance, where does, so think of this, I am coming with a laser power inside, right? When this is out of resonance, I get zero here. Nothing, no flag. I get no light outside. So where does all the light go? Where does all the light go? This was asked to a PhD student who was applying to General Electric when I was in GE. PhD student, postdoc. He wanted to get a job in GE.
So can you repeat?
The question is simple. I am coming with a power P into a cavity. Cavity is out of resonance and I get nothing here, like destructive interference. I get nothing at the output. So where does all the power go?
Sir, you can't only get the destructive interference. There will be some instructive interference as well.
But very little. Very low I can get. Of course I can get.
No, you can't get the fully destructive interference.
Basically, if I make a very small beam size and all here, I can almost get zero. I can show you that you can almost get very little transmission.
Sir,
Extremely
it
small
will be
transmission.
transmitted back, reflected back.
Exactly, exactly. And that is a disaster, because if it goes back into the laser, it essentially can completely blow the laser. And you know why? Because the laser also has a cavity inside, right, where it is pumping, it is essentially causing the laser action. And also the, the laser basically has a gain curve, like this huge gain curve. And at times you have this cavity also decides where inside the gain curve your lasing frequency is. It can actually, you can actually zoom inside this laser. You can for tunable lasers, you can actually, inside this big gain curve of the lasing medium, you can tune your frequency inside, so the lasing happens over a very narrow frequency. Problem is, you think of this, if you now put light back into the laser, its own light, then for the cavity inside the laser, it's like a constructive feedback. It's like a, sorry, not constructive, positive feedback. So there is already very large power inside the cavity, and you put this power back, this thing will just zoom up, and these, every this, there'll be such unlimited amount of power inside the cavity that the electronic connections and all things you have will just fry. This thing will blow, this crystal will die, the lasing crystal will die. So you can actually completely conk the laser by putting all this light back, in case you have these sort of a, confocal cavity which is like directly into the laser, which is sort of like this. And so what people have to do is put a isolator, optical isolator. Where did you study optical isolator? Those who have done the practical properly?
Faraday.
Faraday.
Faraday, exactly. Yahan pe there is no issue like that, no question. And why? Because this light goes like that. There's no question of feedback. There is
So I
no
have a
question of
question.
feedback. Huh.
So these mirrors that we have, they are not 100% transparent. Like the
No, no,
transparency
they
is very
cannot
low.
be.
So
Transmission,
so
right.
why would your laser be like almost get to the point of being destroyed?
Because the
Because
power inside is so large. See,
yeah, but
any power that you are putting inside, which is more, see, there is some kind of balance being obtained, right? Remember, when you're putting some power inside the lasing medium, huh, because the Q factor or the cavity amplification is very large, that there is huge amount of power inside, and the whole thing is designed so as to handle only things coming from a finite amount of power which is coming from that. You do not design for any extra thing that may come from this side. You do not design, period. Okay, it is all done with a very careful calculation ki jitna tumhara aayega inside, you have large amplification inside, only that sort of keeps everything under equilibrium, temperatures are controlled, everything is fine. You don't design for any other extra power that may come in. And remember, you're going to put back the whole laser power, which is like 100 milliwatt, or say at times it's 1 watt. So suppose there is a lot of power inside, but you put 1 watt back, this thing will just overflow. It goes into avalanche mode, just positive, positive feedback is dangerous, right? Because it is limitless. So negative feedback is what you need for stability. Positive feedback is completely unstable. It's an unstable equilibrium. It just blows. It just overflows, overshoots. You understand, right? Because the whole design is done with certain inputs. So laser, especially things like diode lasers and all, they are extremely sensitive. Okay, so we have blown diode lasers like crazy. It was horrible. I mean, you have any static, and it's a different story. Whatever. But yeah, so thing is that any kind of and other thing that also happens is, suppose you have wavelength tunability. You're inside the broad grain medium, you're basically tuning inside by adjusting the length of this cavity. If you put more light in, this cavity starts oscillating as well, and your tuning goes for a toss. Everything goes very bad. Even if the laser doesn't blow, you'll see that the frequency is going completely crazy, because you have extra power inside that was not designed for. So it was very bad. Okay, so one thing that I just want to, so one very important thing that you have here, first of all, you have two beam waves. That is very crucial. This is smaller than this. Other thing is this, there is an angle of incidence which is not actually, so whatever we have studied now is that we have angle of incidence with respect to normal is 0. Here it's not. It's actually a finite angle of incidence, and that demands different kind of an of a treatment. And for that, I will just bring a small, very important thing as well. So whenever you have some kind of a non-zero angle of incidence, or something like asymmetric beam or something. Suppose you don't have a circular beam, you have some kind of an asymmetric beam profile, then the focal length of the cavity, because so the dimensions are different, right? So so basically you now have some kind of a the symmetry of the beam is lost, and if you have an angle of incidence which is not 0 degree, then the focal length also is kind of compromised. Okay, so there is something called astigmatism. You might have heard of this. So astigmatism essentially is that the beams, the focal, the if you have a circular spot, that basically becomes kind of uh, elliptical or something. And the reason is that, so here you do not have, as I said, you do not have a, so basically there is an angle of incidence which is, if you have with respect to the mirror, this is your angle of incidence now. This is like 90 degrees. Sorry, this line is faltu. I go to draw this line. So basically what I meant was something like this. This is your this thing, and this is your angle of incidence. What I'm trying to draw is just this. Yeah. So this is your angle of incidence, theta. Okay. Now what happens is, and also on these angles, this thing also is not no longer it is not at 0 degrees. So then your focal length actually modifies. So you have, so what you see here, so there are now two different kind of planes. One is along the plane of incidence, other one is perpendicular. Okay, this one and that one, and the focal lengths are actually now different. Okay, so this is called the tangential focal plane. That is that is the one that is basically on this side, this one, and the other is the sagittal plane, which is like here. So this one, this part. Okay, now the effective focal lengths actually also become different. They become one f cos theta, and the other one is f by cos theta. Okay, and you can straight make out from here. If you think that this is theta, then this is f. So one of them is basically, this one is f by cos theta, and if you look here again, if this is theta and this is f cos theta. This is f cos theta. Okay, so this is what you have to keep in mind when you analyze this, that you now have a finite angle of incidence. So the problem that I'll give you is that there is a 15-degree angle of incidence, and you have to find out the conditions where this is stable. When I'm telling you that there's going to be two wastes. Is that clear? So basically this astigmatism basically is essentially happening because in the two different planes, so this is for an elliptical beam shape or something, where in two different planes you have two different sort of focal lengths. So as a result, the beams becomes at the focal region, it's not one fixed focal point for the two different perpendicular orthogonal planes, and the beam spot basically becomes tilted. The same thing happens if you come with an angle of incidence which is not at 0. So then you have two sort of effective focal lengths, f cos theta and f by cos theta. So this is called the tangential, and this is called the sagittal. Okay. Okay. So yeah, tell me any. So this is an exercise I'm going to give you. Yeah, this is an interesting exercise, and maybe you can just solve it. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So we have had a longish class today, but we had again a lot of discussions. Okay. So tell me, any other questions? This is actually very important. The conceptually, these are the basis of designing interferometers and stable cavities and all that sort of thing. Very, very important, conceptually understanding these things. So after this, we are basically going to do yeah, Monday. We're going to spend some time on higher order mode solutions, and again, I'll not do most of the things. This just differential equations, which are just sort of telling the more the excited final, the Gaussian entire, the it's like Hermite Gaussian series, right? What you did in fiber, basically just the basis of that. And then we'll start diffraction. Hopefully, in 2 classes, we can cover diffraction, and that will be the formal end of the course. And then 1 class I want to do on optical tweezers and trapping particles and all, just the basics of that. Okay. Okay. So then we meet on Monday. And I'll give another assignment today. Okay. ठीक है guys. चलो bye.